The Imperial war chamber was silent, filled with fear and disbelief. Dozens of admirals, generals, and council members sat around a long obsidian table, holographic screens showing destroyed fleets, broken starbases, and silent systems. The air smelled like cold metal and tension. Admiral Vorkon stood in the center, his armor cracked, his face pale. He was one of the few survivors from the battle near the Outer Veil. He looked like a man who had seen something beyond logic. The High Emperor leaned forward, his golden eyes sharp. "Admiral, report. What happened to our fleet?" Vorkon swallowed, his voice shaking. "We fought humans." The room erupted in whispers. Some laughed, others looked confused. Many believed humans were only a primitive species, barely spacefaring, lost centuries ago. No one expected them to return with warships. The Emperor raised his hand. The room fell silent again. "How many human ships did you encounter?" Vorkon tapped the console. A hologram appeared. Gigantic black warships, sharp like blades, surrounded by blue lightning. Their weapons cut through Imperial armor like soft cloth. 32 ships, Your Majesty." The council gasped. 32 ships should not have been able to destroy an entire Imperial armada of 7,000 battleships. Yet the images were clear. Imperial debris floating in darkness, burning reactors, drifting bodies. One general slammed his fist on the table. 32 ships cannot destroy us. That is impossible." Vorkon stared at him, eyes shaking. It happened. They moved like shadows. Their weapons were silent. Our shields never detected the first strike. They targeted command bridges first. It was like they already knew our plans. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "Are you saying humans have superior technology?" Vorkon hesitated. Then he said something that froze every heart in the room. "Your Majesty, they told us something before they left." He tapped another button. A final audio transmission echoed through the chamber, deep and calm, spoken in flawless Imperial standard. "This was not war. This was only a test." No breathing. No noise, only fear. The Emperor stood slowly. "A test? Of what?" Vorkon looked down. "Of your reaction. They wanted to see how fast we mobilize." The council began to panic. If 32 ships could do this, how many more existed? Were these scouts? Were humans prepared for full invasion? The Emperor's voice turned cold. "Admiral, was that the entire human army?" Vorkon shook his head. "No, I asked the human commander before the battle ended." He laughed. Silence again. "What did he say?" Vorkon's voice broke. "That wasn't even a fleet, only a fragment." Whispers turned into fear. Generals looked at each other with pale faces. A fragment? What did that mean? A scouting detachment? A training squad? A testing unit? Before anyone spoke, another hologram activated. Battle logs from recovered black boxes. The human ships were labeled. 3rd Recon Division, Outer Perimeter Patrol. The council stared at horror. Recon? Not main force, not primary army, only one division, out of many. The Emperor gripped the table, claws digging into the metal. "You mean?" Vorkon finished the sentence with a trembling voice. "That wasn't their entire army." Silence spread like death. Across the chamber, Prince Arthul, commander of Imperial strategy, stepped forward. "If they have recon divisions this powerful, where is their main fleet?" No one answered. Moments later, a warning alarm echoed across the capital planet. The skies darkened as military communication arrays detected unknown signals at the edge of the galaxy. The Council screens lit up with a terrifying message. Unidentified massive warp signatures detected. More than 50,000 signals. Large, organized, silent. The Emperor's voice trembled for the first time in centuries. Are those humans? Vorkon stared at the screen. No, Your Majesty. Those are only the signals of their scouts. The main fleet is not here yet. The chamber fell into dread. If this was the beginning, the galaxy was not ready, and humanity had only just arrived. Searching the hidden human territory. The Imperial response was immediate. Within hours of the Council meeting, fleets across the galaxy were ordered to enter red alert status. Borders sealed, stargates shut down, trade ships recalled, and every military academy summoned new recruits. But even with full preparation, the Empire had one problem. They did not know where humans came from. The ancient maps recorded Earth as a minor world, abandoned during the Great Migration. No one expected humans to evolve, advance, and return with impossible weapons. The galaxy assumed humanity died long ago. Now, the Council demanded answers. To uncover the truth, the Empire launched Project Shadow Hunt, a secret operation to locate the true Terran Empire. The mission leader was Commander Silas Wren, a cold strategist known for tracking hidden civilizations. His ship, the Nightfall, was equipped with advanced stealth systems and silent warp drives. As the ship left the capital, Silas addressed his crew. "We do not fight them. We observe. We return. If we attack their homeworld without knowing their strength, we die." The crew nodded, though fear was clear in their eyes. Rocket into the dark zone. The Nightfall jumped beyond mapped regions, heading toward the outer veil where traces of human energy signals had last been seen. The space there felt wrong, like something massive existed, yet nothing appeared on scanners. Debris fields drifted silently. Ruined planets, broken moons, ancient battle scars. But none of the destruction matched Imperial weaponry. One officer studied a shattered world. "These wounds are clean, carved by a single beam. Not war, execution." Silas narrowed his eyes. Humans did this. But why destroy entire systems? One warning. As the ship moved deeper, every sensor blinked with static. Communications died. Radar went blind. Artificial gravity fluctuated. Then a transmission appeared, soft, broken, like a whisper inside the ship's walls. "Turn back. You are not ready." The crew froze. A defensive drone uncloaked beside them. No weapons visible, no engines glowing, just a black sphere floating silent like a ghost. A junior lieutenant panicked. "Sir, should we fire?" Silas shook his head. "No. If this small thing can follow us without detection, imagine what their real ships can do." The drone scanned the ship for 10 seconds, then vanished. No warp signature, no trail, nothing. The crew realized something terrifying. Humans were not hiding. They simply allowed the Empire to live. For now. X, the lost probe. Further in, the Nightfall found a destroyed Imperial probe. At first glance, it looked like scrap metal. But when they accessed its final recording, everyone on the bridge turned pale. The probe had captured a shadow, an enormous ship passing in front of a star, so large the light disappeared for 3 minutes. The crew replayed the video. The silhouette was monstrous. One officer whispered, That was a ship, right? Silas answered quietly. A flagship, bigger than a moon. The probe's final audio message was even worse. This is only their forward carrier group, main forces undiscovered. The bridge fell silent. Forward group, not main fleet, not home territory, just the border. Galaxy, the wall of darkness. Finally, the nightfall reached a barrier, space where light itself bent wrong. Stars vanished beyond a shimmering horizon, as if the galaxy ended. It wasn't natural. It was engineered. A cloaking field the size of a star cluster. Silas spoke in disbelief. They are not hiding on one planet. The Imperial Detention Complex on Varkas 9 sat deep beneath the planet's crust, protected by plasma shields and guarded by elite soldiers. It was built to hold the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy, war leaders, assassins, and rogue psionics. But today, it held only one prisoner, a human. He lay on a medical slab, restrained by anti-gravity cuffs, oxygen mask over his face, body wrapped in scars and burn marks. His armor, sleek black plates with silver lines, was placed on a separate platform, guarded like a cursed relic. The scientists watched from behind a glass wall, whispering. He survived a direct blast from our capital railgun. His blood cells repair themselves faster than ours. Humans are not simple organisms, they're engineered. The lead scientist, Dr. Zyrath, leaned closer. Maybe they changed their biology to survive in war zones. But no one knew the truth. Humans didn't evolve to survive war. War evolved because of humans. Chapter: The interrogation begins. The lights dimmed, and a tall figure entered the chamber. General Kyle Thor, known for breaking prisoners without torture. He believed in psychological ruin, not pain. He stood beside the human, voice calm. Name. Silence. Kyle Thor repeated. Name. Still silence. Finally, the human opened his eyes, cold, silver, emotionless. He spoke slowly. Name? You don't need my name. Kyle Thor narrowed his eyes. Why? Are you above identity? The human looked at the ceiling. No, because I am not important. The general froze. A soldier? A pilot? A commander? If this man wasn't important, then what level of power did humanity hold? Kyle Thor leaned in. Then what are you? The human answered quietly, without pride. A scout. The room fell silent. Scientists stared in horror. A scout destroyed fleets? A scout survived orbital fire. A scout needed rescues from humans who could cloak an entire region of space? If this was a scout, what were their elites? Kyle Thor continued. How big is your real army? The human snarled faintly. Big enough that I don't need to answer. W.A. A message hidden in his words. Kyle Thor changed strategy. We want peace. We can talk. The Empire is not your enemy. The human finally turned his head. You don't understand. Kyle Thor frowned. Explain. The human whispered. You think this is war. It's not. Then what is it? He answered. It's a warning. Before Kyle Thor could reply, the facility's lights flickered, sirens screamed, security feeds went black. The planet itself trembled. Commanders rushed to screens. Unauthorized ships entering orbit. We can't track them, no warp signature. Shields are collapsing. Kyle Thor stared at the human, shocked. Your people? How did they find you? The human spoke calmly. Not people. He sat up as restraints unlocked themselves, metal melting like wax. A retrieval unit. Prep, the silent strike team. Black cloaked figures appeared inside the facility, not through doors, not through portals. They simply materialized like shadows gaining physical form. Their armor was identical to the prisoners, but heavier, darker, glowing faint red. No footsteps, no voices, no visible weapons. One placed a hand on the wall. The entire prison level powered down instantly. Another approached the human and removed the oxygen mask gently, almost respectfully. The leader spoke through a helmet filter. Unit 32, status. The human replied, alive, mission continues. The Empire realized with horror. He wasn't rescued, he was collected like a tool. WD, the exit. As the strike team began to leave, Kyle Thor shouted, "Wait, why didn't you destroy us when you first arrived?" The leader stopped, turned slightly, and answered, "Because destruction is not the goal." Kyle Thor stepped forward. "Then what is the goal?" The leader replied, "Preparation." A portal of black energy opened, silent, smooth, no light leakage. Before stepping through, the human officer looked back, eyes cold but not cruel. His final words echoed through the chamber. "You haven't seen our army. You've only seen the ones who walk in the dark." Then he vanished. No war cry, no battle, just silence. A. Aftermath. Report goes to the Emperor. A single human scout was protected by a force stronger than Imperial fleets. The Emperor stared at the report, voice low. "If their shadows are this strong, what does their sun look like?" No one answered, because no one knew. The Imperial capital had not slept since the human rescue incident. Every city echoed with the distant hum of war machines, factories roaring day and night. Starship docks expanded into orbit, stretching like metallic rings around the planet. Messages played across public screens. All citizens prepare for wartime protocol. Outer sector recruits report for immediate training. Emergency rations begin distribution. The Empire wasn't preparing for battle. It was preparing for extinction prevention. Inside the Grand War Hall, thousands of holograms floated above the table. Blueprints of colossal dreadnoughts, planetary shields, quantum cannons, and antimatter minefields. Prince Arthul, now head of the War Council, stood before the audience of commanders. "We cannot defeat them alone. We need allies. We need the entire galaxy." Some commanders agreed, others refused. General Cyrax slammed his fist. "You act like they are gods. They bleed, they die, they fear. We just need bigger firepower." But the room fell silent when the Emperor entered. He had aged, his voice quieter, but heavier. "You misunderstand. This is not about defeating them." He looked at the room with tired eyes. "This is about surviving them." No one argued after that. Rep. The call to arms. The Empire launched Operation Silver Shield, the largest mobilization in recorded history. 50,000 warships deployed to border systems. 12 fortified ring stations built near warplanes. Planetary evacuations began secretly. Probe fleets launched into deep space to track human movements. Every world prepared for a storm. But something strange happened. There was no storm. No human attacks, no invasions, no messages. Only silence. It was worse than war. Systems start disappearing. 3 weeks into mobilization, the first report didn't come from the military. It came from civilians. A trade convoy arrived at Zalor Prime, expecting a bustling market world. Instead, they found empty space. The planet was gone. No debris, no dust, no explosion marks. Just absence. Commanders thought it was impossible. Planets didn't vanish. Not even black holes could erase matter so cleanly. Before they could investigate, more reports came in. Sector 9 missing. Colonies of Vexar Belt not responding. Entire star system erased from star maps. Not destroyed, not controlled, erased from existence. Like someone removed them from the universe. The dark message. The Empire Emergency Council opened communications across all sectors. A shaky broadcast arrived from a scout ship moments before signal loss. The crew whispered in terror, alarms blaring behind them. We saw them, not ships, shadows the size of continents. The transmission broke. Static remained. Prince Arthul replayed the final frame. Dark shapes moving across a star. Silent, immense. He whispered, "Not fleets, not armies. Something else." The Emperor shook his head slowly. "They are clearing pathways, preparing space." Everyone felt sick. Humans weren't conquering territory. They were making room for something bigger. The return of the scout. Late that night, alone in the war hall, the Emperor stared at fading star maps. Entire sectors blinked out like dying candles. A soft voice echoed behind him, one he hoped never to hear again. "You still prepare for war." He turned. The human stood there. No portal, no sound, no weapon, just presence, like space bent to allow him in. The Emperor stayed still. Why erase our systems? The human looked at the star projection. "We are not erasing them." The Emperor frowned. "Then what are you doing?" The human stepped forward, tapped a star, and it vanished from the map. "We are restoring what belongs to us." The Emperor's voice trembled. "You claim the entire galaxy?" The human shook his head. "Not the galaxy." He pointed beyond borders of imperial charts, regions unmapped, dark, ancient. "Everything beyond your sight." The Emperor whispered, "Then what do you want from us?" The human finally answered, "To stay out of the way."
The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. No more disappearing systems, no new warnings, no transmissions from human scouts. Even the strange shadows in deep space had stopped moving. For a moment, the Empire felt a small spark of hope. Maybe humans decided to stop. Maybe the threat was over. That hope shattered the moment the universe itself trembled. It began as a whisper, a low vibration felt across every planet at the same time. Birds stopped flying. Oceans stilled. Space stations drifted without control. Even stars flickered, as if light hesitated. The Emperor stood on the palace balcony, watching the sky turn silver. "It begins," he whispered. "The opening of the rift." Space above the capital didn't split. It folded inward, like a curtain being pulled aside. A sphere of pure darkness appeared. Not black like shadow, but black like the absence of reality. The rift expanded silently, bending gravity, pulling starlight into itself. Commanders panicked. Is it a weapon? Is it a wormhole? Do we fire? The Emperor raised his hand. Do nothing. Because firing would mean war, and war meant extinction. The rift stabilized, revealing something behind it. Not ships, not a fleet. A wall of steel and starlight, stretching beyond sight. An artificial structure larger than a solar system. Metal cities, Titan engines, glowing corridors that looked like skyscrapers floating in vacuum. The officers stared in disbelief. That's not a fleet. It's a mobile civilization. The fleet emerges. From the colossal structure, ships began to detach, small at first, yet each the size of entire imperial capitals. Sleek, obsidian hulls, silver energy veins, no flags, no identifications, no transmissions. They moved like a migration instead of an army, silent, coordinated, inevitable. A scout officer counted, voice trembling. 1,000, 5,000. No, they keep coming. Another shouted, "They're not warships, they're colony carriers." Each ship carried whole nations, cities, ecosystems. Like humans weren't invading, they were returning home. The transmission. Suddenly, every device in the Empire powered on. Screens, implants, satellites, forced by an unknown signal. A single message appeared, spoken by a calm human voice. This territory was abandoned by our ancestors. We now reclaim what we left behind." The hall fell silent. Prince Arthur clenched his teeth. "They think the galaxy belongs to them?" The Emperor answered quietly, "It once did." Humanity's purpose revealed. A projection formed above the capital, an ancient star map showing how humans once spread across thousands of systems before something forced them to retreat, leaving ruins and myths behind. The Emperor understood at last. Humans didn't appear suddenly. They came back to continue what was interrupted, and the galaxy had simply lived in the ruins they left. The first true warship appears. Up to now, all ships looked like carriers or migration vessels, but then the rift shook again. Something larger approached, so massive that even the Empire's moon bases triggered elision alarms. The sky darkened as its shadow passed overhead. A single warship. Its name, slowly displayed in ancient runes across every screen. Titan Prime, anchor of humanity's war order. It dwarfed planets. Its engines glowed like suns. Its silhouette alone crushed morale. General Cyrak fell to his knees, whispering, "This isn't a ship. It's a supermass. It can destroy star systems by existing." The Emperor's voice cracked. "We never stood a chance." The final choice. A smaller human envoy ship detached from Titan Prime and descended toward the capital, finally sending a direct message. Not a threat, not a demand, a choice. Stand with us and survive. Stand against us and vanish. The Emperor closed his eyes. He now understood the truth. Humans didn't come to rule the galaxy. They came because something far greater than war was coming, and humanity needed territory, resources, and silence to prepare. The returning fleet was not the enemy. They were building defenses against something worse. The Emperor whispered, "What could be bigger than them?" No one answered, because the humans hadn't shown their enemy yet. Only their return. Cliffhanger ending. The final scene zooms out past fleets, past galaxies, into the void beyond known space. Far away, something ancient and enormous stirs, a darkness older than civilization. And humanity stands between it and the galaxy. War has not begun. War is coming.